Welcome to Nikki Speaks TV, the mental health series. Today's special guests are two amazing gentlemen who happen to be great friends of mine, Benny Franklin and Johnny Mack, founders of the National Men's Prayer Call. Welcome to the Nikki Speaks TV show, the mental health series. Join me on this show as I interview mental health experts and business owners to share their perspectives. Let's explore grief, anxiety, and stress, relationship topics, divorce, adapting to life change, and women empowerment. Join me as we talk about and explore mental health together. This is Nikki Speaks TV. Well, welcome, Johnny Mack and Benny Franklin. Thank you guys so much for being on my show.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about you guys, what you do, who you are in the world.
Well, we're the National Men's Prayer Call, and it's a group of expanding group of gentlemen across the nation, actually across the world, that is every Tuesday and Thursday morning we get together virtually and soon to be live, and engage the power of prayer and spiritually enhance personal development so that men can grow and become stronger and become more effective in their homes, their churches, their schools, their communities, and nationally.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Benny? Yeah, a little bit of what he said.
Yeah.
No, my career, I'm an automotive consultant. Mm-hmm. My passion and my ministry is leadership. And so with the National Men's Prayer Call, like Johnny said, we found a niche for personal development with African American men. It's our primary target, but it's broad now. Actually, we're intentional about getting it a little bit more segregated.
Yeah.
Not being as segregated, rather. And we're just trying to meet men where they are. Men are looking for a lot of solutions right now. It's a lot of mixed messaging out there. We're unapologetically Christian, so there are a lot of different men's group and men's ministries and different prayer groups, but we wanted to introduce, the prayer aspect, but also give men some solutions. So we came up with a genre, this personal development. Johnny put a twist on it, spiritually enhanced personal development, and that's what we've stuck with. We bring in different, subject matter experts from all over the world to come in and share and give insight to just how to make our lives work on a day-to-day basis. So it's been very effective. As a matter of fact, we're celebrating our 9th year this month. This is our 9th year anniversary. Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
So 9 years. Yeah, 9 years.
9 years of building that.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, I thank you guys both for being here, like I said, and I just think it's so awesome what you're doing. Tell me about your why. You're, behind every great mission. I just believe there's always a why, a deeper why, and a passion that people don't often share. So.
Well, I'll take that first. I think my why is I broke up really broken. I grew up really broken. And my mother and father got divorced really early. I was exposed to some elements. My father wasn't really there, not by choice. My mother and father it was such an ugly divorce. My mother actually made us take sides, if you know what I mean. It was that kind of deal. And so I took my mother's side and got her lens of my father. And so we separated. So for the most part, during my formative years, I grew up fatherless, even though I had a father. Okay. And so because of that, I had a lot of influences come into my life that were criminal. And so I adapted to that. And I was able to overcome it. I'm giving you the clip notes, but I was able to overcome that with just different people coming into my life. And once I found a philosophy to follow that worked, that was spiritually based, then now I have this calling on my life to help a lot of men like myself, a lot of guys that started in this direction but needed a map to make a left turn, U-turn, or right turn, to help them get on the right path, just by changing the way to think, changing their lens, how they view the world, and so that's my biggest passion, is to try to just help men change their philosophy and outlook on life. And let them know that there's abundance out here in the world. Now, if you listen to these small pockets, you would think that it was the complete opposite. The world's coming to an end.
Right.
And so I've had and I'm borrowing this. A pastor said that when you come into the kingdom, as a Christian, here's the question: did you come into the kingdom to die, or did you come into the kingdom to live for the kingdom? And a lot of Christians come in to get saved and wait on the kingdom to come.
Right.
And so basically, you got saved to die. Or did you come in to understand the precepts and principles of the Bible and execute that and contribute to the kingdom building? So I'm on the latter.
Yes, and I love that you're doing that. You made that decision, from your brokenness, you were able to build something
Absolutely
to help others. That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
So,
I had a lot of help.
Thank you for what you do.
My wife was real patient with me.
Well, I'm exactly the opposite. I came from just a solid, strong family structure. Pretty decent, middle class upbringing. We weren't rich, but we definitely wasn't poor. And so I had all the advantages. Father in the home, mother that was probably the best cook on the planet, and all of that. So growing up, the biggest issue that I faced was, where's my relevance? I've been afforded all of these options and opportunities, and now how do I take and move that forward to bless other people?
Right.
Look at that word, why. If you know anything about me, I'm an acronym king. So why is what's haunting you? What's the thing that's haunting you and causing you to want to be better, to grow, to have spiritually enhanced personal development? And then the other why is who's helping you? Who's helping you to go forward? So we want to be part of that force helping you go forward. But more importantly, who's hindering you? Who's stopping you from being able to reach the goal that you want? And many times, the lack of a father in the home, or the lack of financial resources in the home, all of these issues are things that hold people back. And we get stuck in a mode back, in our past, our history that's preventing us from being able to achieve and receive all the goals that we want out of life. So one of the reasons why I got involved with the National Men's Prayer Call is because I wanted to be able to offer that help, coming from a place, a solid place that wasn't broken. I wanted to be able to show men that there are areas where there's no brokenness, and that this is where you want to aspire to. So what's haunting you? Do you want to be better? Are you satisfied just being so-so and mediocre? The National Men's Prayer Call wants to be average breakers. We want to break the cycle of being average and ordinary and not pushing ourselves to the higher level.
You better preach.
He's going,
I go preach, I'll pass the pot.
That's Johnny Mack. Dr. Mack, excuse
Where do we
me.
sign up? Where's the one for women? I need the one for the one.
Yeah, this is for
women.
men. Nikki.
I know. But you were making it sound so good. I was like, sign me up. Shoot.
And because it fits both categories. It fits men and women. Everyone across the board is looking at those issues.
Right. I'm like, everybody can.
Yeah. So, hey, can you help me? Funny thing is, this morning I was looking at our back page on the National Men's Prayer Call, and a lady said, "I want to sign up." She said, "No." She said, "I want to sign up for my husband."
Oh,
Nothing wrong. I just want him to be in the presence of strong, solid men of God. I said, "Wow." Now that's the testament to what
really
we've been doing.
is. Yeah.
And for 9 years, we have been consistently bringing this about. But I wanted to just take a moment and put a pause and put a pin in something, because this young man right here, Coach Benny, Mr. Make It Happen, called me one day after they just gotten started. So this program started out of a church in Cedar Hill, Metro Christ, and they wanted to develop a men's ministry. So they tagged Benny to spearhead it and to start it. There wasn't enough support from the men in the actual in the church. So they decided to expand out into the larger community. So he asked me to speak one day, and I was so excited. This is back when I would have spoken for a dime or a dollar. Well, he gave me the opportunity to speak, and I was just so excited about that. But more importantly, I saw a potential. I said, man, this thing is way bigger than just a Tuesday or Thursday phone call. Mm-hmm. This is something that can touch the lives of men across the nation. And so Benny has a way of just very surreptitiously, look that up in your funkin' wagon, but very surreptitiously.
I'm going to need the definition.
And so he's able to bring people in without them realizing they have been co-opted. They've been coerced. And so that 9 years later, here I am.
All your experiences tales.
And just getting here.
That's true. I'm a closer.
Yeah. Yeah, I was saying all his experience in sales, you know?
No, I'm a closer for sure.
Unfair advantage. And so he kind of minimized who he is as a subject matter expert, he works for one of the largest corporations in the world in an upper management position, touching people's lives and they're working with dealerships to be more effective. So, and they train him and they avail him to a lot of personal growth material and information. Well, he brings that corporate culture to this to the National Men's Prayer Call. And although his foot is on the brake, he is cautiously making sure that we don't overstep or overreach our boundaries, or in the sports vernacular, that we don't outpunt our coverage, so that we can continually, the growth is systemic and controlled. 9 years later, from the time we first started with just a phone call, now we've got Facebook Live, we've got podcast, we've got a
YouTube channel we just got this year.
IG just started, so we're pretty excited. Now, who am I? I am a publisher by trade. I spent 30 years in the automotive industry, but getting out of that, my passion, and that's all about finding the passion. What's your niche? They say if you find a niche and dig a ditch, you can get rich. And so I've done that, and I help people aspiring authors to become published authors. So we've been able to bring in brothers from across the nation that are just, we want to be a part of this. We want to be a part of this. And so they tithe into the ministry. They give their time, their talent, and their treasure so that we can expand. And it's just, at this point, it's taken off. We just have to stay out of the way so it can continue to grow.
We have to pay attention to it because it really has required some structure and a method in how we approach it on a day-to-day basis. Right. We've accumulated a little bit of manageable debt, and that's why we asked the guys, if you're going to, one of the things, if you're going to join the admin team, then there is a monthly contribution. It's not anything much and everybody's more than willing. We don't have any issues with that. Yeah. But it's allowing us to grow. But I have to be honest, and I didn't see it growing to this point because Dr. Kenneth Green. No, I didn't. And so Dr. Kenneth Green, as I was serving under him, he had a church that, unlike a lot of other pastors, the men weren't that engaged to the level of his satisfaction. He had his deacons, and he calls his deacons shepherds, and overseers, but that was within the church. But anything outside of that, they didn't really have a footprint or anything. So he asked me, he knew I'm part of the John Maxwell team, and he said, hey, man, we could use a little of that DNA into our ministry with our men. And I said, well, all right. And I was part of a prayer call. I said, how about we put a prayer call on together, but we put a little bit of a twist on it. And we can introduce some personal development. I can go out and get some guys speaking because I just didn't want to be the single voice, because that's what it started off as. Had hardly any participation, none. And so I started reaching out to some friends of mine and say, hey, man, why don't y'all join us on this prayer call? They were enthusiastic about it. And then Johnny was the first one to say, hey, let's put this on Facebook. He said, I think this would be a lot of men to be interested in this. And I was like, I'm not a big social media guy, but okay. But of course, Johnny is. Yeah. And so,
gotta have one.
Yeah. And so, as soon as we did that, and Dr. Green was a little reluctant too, because it was still a part of Metro. Yeah, it was still part of Metro's ministry.
Oh, I see.
And so he said, "Look here, man. If we can't get the men to participate," he even tried to shame him doing one. And I told him, "Don't do that. He shouldn't." Yeah. And I didn't agree with that. And so, he said, "Well, we're gonna let God just let it go where it goes, because this is obviously I wanted it for the church, but it may be bigger than that." This is what Dr. Green is telling me 9 years ago. Okay. And so we met with Johnny. We put it on Facebook, and as soon as we got on Facebook, it was like, phew.
Wow.
Then you got people calling and saying, "Hey, I want to be part of this deal," and anticipating, and it just grew from 10, 5 or 6 guys, maybe 10 tops on a phone call, to now our reach. Because we rebroadcast is probably, I think you told me 25 to 3,000 people a week. That's our touch, and so we're still trying to grow that, even more. So
yeah. A funny thing is, he's working out, and someone that he does still to this day doesn't know who they are walked up and said, "Hey, National Men's Prayer Call," and just basically walked away.
We get that a lot.
What?
So there are the response has become greater than we've anticipated, and now that we're dealing with that type of response, we're reimagining how it's done. We have leaders in Atlanta, Memphis, Arkansas, all over the country.
All over the country.
That just and you know the funny part is
There's
before
so much growth.
we were a little we would kind of timidly walk up and ask people to speak, and now when we ask them to speak, they are intimidated by the growth, by the platform itself.
Absolutely.
And we're kind of amazed if we ask somebody to speak. They're like, man, thank you for the honor.
Yeah, I follow you guys, and I'm like, what?
You're one of those flies on the wall.
Oh no, I like when I can.
Okay,
Yeah, there you go. Hi, my name is Benny Franklin. I am one of the co-founders of the National Men's Prayer Call. The National Men's Prayer Call is a place you can go to get spiritually enhanced personal development, along with establishing a routine for prayer. Our primary focus is men, which are kingdom men. We're trying to bring men either, if you're in the kingdom, we want to expand that. If you're interested in getting in the kingdom, we want to be able to attract that. And so we get together every Tuesday and Thursday morning, 7 to 7:30 Central Standard Time. You can join us on Zoom. You can join us on Facebook. You can go check out our YouTube channel, the National Men's Prayer Call. If you want to join us on Zoom or just call in, the meeting number is 588-930-2578. That's the meeting ID. That's all you need to get in. And you can join us every Tuesday and Thursday morning from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. We'd love to see you. We'd love to see you be part of what we're doing within the kingdom. We call ourselves the core engineers of the kingdom of God. We had a pastor, a good friend of mine, and he came to town and we visited and we broke some bread. And I was like, man, it would be great for you to get on. Why don't you get on a call and speak to our men? He was like, man, please. He said, I've seen those guys get on there. He said, I'm not doing it. I was like, what? It really took me off guard. I said, what are you talking about? He said, no, dude. He said, you guys have some high caliber brothers. He said, I'm a country preacher. And he said, I don't belong in that format. He said, I'll support it, whatever you need, but I don't belong in that format. And so I thought about Johnny was telling me, that, how we need to make sure we're vetting guys, getting the right people on. Right. But some of these people, they're just not, they're intimidated to get on and speak.
Yeah, because you guys are doing, such excellence,
Yeah.
I want to ask you, Benny, at your lowest point, because I always like to know, we all have a low point in our lives sometimes. What were you feeling, and what was your way of overcoming and finding the steps to come out of that? That's
a great question. And for me, my life is so complicated. Well, not any more than anybody, I guess. Well, maybe. Johnny says it is. Because I had so many, unethical experiences in my life and criminal experiences in my life. I've been shot, almost died, with an altercation that I started. And,
we're glad you're here.
Yeah. And honestly, that's the first time I heard God's voice. And the move I made, paying attention to his voice. Now, I didn't recognize it as God or anything. I just heard a voice speak and say, hey, you forgot something. And that moment is what allowed me to turn around. And had not been for that moment, I would have walked right into an ambush. The guy was waiting on me, the guy who actually shot me several times. And so just prayer got me through that, listened to the voice. And then I had some health issues about 15 years ago, some real bad health. Well, not about 10 years ago, I had a real bad back injury that I displaced one of my, had a bulging disc and had something else happen. And they went in and the guy botched the surgery and it nicked my neural sac. And they couldn't stop the spinal fluid from leaking in. And I went in and I had, I was in ICU for 2 weeks, but I had like 6 surgeries in a matter of 2 weeks because they can only do them every other day. Wow. And the guy finally came in before the last surgery and said, hey, we can't stop the spinal fluid from leaking. You're going to get meningitis. You're probably going to die. And this is what he's telling me and my wife. You're probably going to die. And maybe
but have a nice day.
And he had to, and we thought it was weird because he came in with the hospital administrator, came in with a chaplain, and saw another business person and said, hey, you guys got in your affairs. You need to get in order. You probably want to do that now. And it was real upsetting. And I tell everybody, at that point, I literally could smell and sense death. And that was the lowest point in my life because I thought I was going to actually die. When they come in and tell you that. And we got one more surgery coming up in the morning, but we don't want to give you any expectations because they were trying to have they were putting a patch on. It was a live patch, but they couldn't make it stick. And so they were going to give it one more shot. And, it was very upsetting. And
I could see that.
and so we prayed and God told me it was going to be okay in a dream, and that it was going to be okay.
Praise God.
And I went in, and the surgery worked. I've got some repercussions behind it. I've got some limitations because it was a really bad surgery.
Right.
I lost my L4 and L5. I lost it. Lost about, I'm sensitive about this because I was already short. Lost about 2 inches in height. So I'm real. I already had a short man.
Hey, you're taller than me.
Yeah, so I lost about 2 inches in height. Had to get all my clothes redone. So that bothered me a little bit because I tell everybody, I'm saved and love the Lord, but I still haven't been delivered from vanity and profanity. So He's working on me in that space, right? But that's fortunately I've been introduced to Christ, and it helped me. It slowed life down for me. I've never been rattled since that day. I've been upset, but I've never been rattled. Okay. And because I have a peace over me that it's not that serious. And then it gave me a little bit more revelation, and it led me to understand. This is what got me into neuroscience and how the brain works. Is that one of the biggest culprits that we have as human beings is overreaction,
which causes stress.
Yeah. Which triggers the amygdala and some other things. And it's a little bit more complex. Right. But at the end of the day, it's an overreaction. And so I heard a guy preach, and I took this philosophy, what he preached about. I'm going to give you a short version, but I thought it was powerful because it set me on my path for neuroscience, understanding it and having a hunger and a sense for that. Right. And Dr. I.B. Hilliard, that's what I'm going to give him credit for. I love Dr. I.B., but he said that we have to understand that we're tripart beings. If you're a Christian, that's a given. But outside of that, people don't really necessarily equate to that. But so what you are is you are a spiritual being. That's your kinship to God. That houses, you have a earthly body, so you can comprehend the physical realm. That's where your spirit is housed in. And then you have a soul. And your soul is basically made up of certain components. Your soul is made up of your mind, your intellect, your imagination, your will, and your emotions. Those are the 5 things that make you you. Right. And so when Satan is after your soul, what he's really after is one of those components of your soul to help to cause you to overreact, panic, and whatnot. So when you take a self-assessment as a Christian in your spiritual growth, what you need to find out is what component of your soul have you given Satan access to? And then I went to dig, and I'm kind of a nerd. I'm a download nerd. So I started.
Me too. I call it a blur. Somebody said if you're black and you're a nerd, you're a blur.
Yeah, I'm a blur.
I am too.
Download. I don't want to lose my cool point. So I went to doing research and stumbled upon some of Sigmund Freud's earliest work. Now, Sigmund Freud is the godfather for psychology. Absolutely. And so he identified practically the same components, but he called it your personality. And all of his science, when he evaluated you to determine what your personality disorder was, because one of them or all of them was causing you to behave in a manner that didn't allow you to be productive. And so it was pretty much the same things that IV was preaching about. Really? But IV was referencing from the Bible. He took you to Scripture. And so the components of the soul and everything, those things are in Scripture. And he was talking about it. And one of it, he said, is your mind. And the first thing you learn in neuroscience is that your mind and your brain are separate. Your brain is the organ. Your mind is the intellectual energy that stimulates and feeds the brain and causes you to react. And you would know more about that than me. But the mind is a separate, it's really a spiritual entity within itself. And so once I got into that, the first person I went to work on was me. Right. And started applying those principles into my life. And I saw, exponential growth immediately once I started accepting these things. And then that's when my hunger came to alter my personal development education from just leadership and just talking about leadership and understanding to take it a little bit deeper and got into neuroscience and understanding how your brain works so you can have control over certain situations. And so that led me to, I know I went down a rabbit hole, but
No, that was a beautiful story.
So this is how I've been able to overcome the things that have really hit me really hard in my life. And it's led me to just understanding and adapting to this particular philosophy, because philosophy is one of the keys to having a good life. And I define philosophy as this: all that you know and what you're doing with what you know.
Okay, that application piece.
Yes, that's to me, that's the philosophy. You know, and so so if you're looking, if you want to take audit on your life and it's not getting you what you want, then you know, what philosophy are you operating under? So
right, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the show. I love what you're doing, and you know, I'm just so honored to know you personally, and to see the growth that has happened and will continue to happen. I know. You know, a lot of what you guys said today, I know a lot of people will need that. A lot of men and women.
Well, we don't exclude women. We just are fully focused on delivering this message.
Right. We know we have a few ear hustlers on.
Right,
so
right.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, we're kind of applauding them, inviting them now. Hi, I'm Dr. John L. Mack. I'm the founder and CEO of GPS, Get Published Successfully. We help aspiring authors to not only get published successfully, but also to get paid successfully, because they get promoted successfully. So you can reach me at getpublishedsuccessfully.com or getpublishedsuccessfully@gmail.com, and we'll help you to GPS to find your success by making sure that you get published successfully.
So as we close, Johnny, why don't you go ahead and tell the audience how to stay in contact with you all and be a part of your movement?
Well, everything is National Men's Prayer Call. So if you go on Facebook, you can get past episodes just by plugging into the National Men's Prayer Call. We'll take the D off, just National Men's Prayer Call. Okay. You can get us on our website is nationalmensprayercall.com.
Okay.
So you can Google us.
You can Google us. Yeah, good. We prefer that you Google us because that gives us a little bit more relevance on the structure there.
Right.
But you can also, our email address is nationalmensprayercall@gmail.com, and we are just excited to be able to reach and to touch as many people as possible. This is a ministry. This is something we enjoy doing, we love doing, and we wouldn't be doing it for 10 years, 9 years, if there wasn't some type of joy and love that we get from it. We get paid nothing. Just as an aside.
Yet.
We just recently filed for our nonprofit status.
Oh, yeah.
And that should be complete within the next month or so.
It's coming.
So we want you to, at that point, put 5 on it and just kind of bless it so we can expand and do more.
Is there a way they can donate now? Do you have a way? You have a cash app?
No.
Okay, get a cash app.
We want to be above board and operate within.
We're not there yet.
You're not there. Okay.
But it'll be very soon. One of our
the guys are itching and pushing us to get there. I'm tapping the brakes because I want it all in order and all in place.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
But we've had Dr. Reuben West, Les Brown, some very notable individuals to be a part, and they're excited about being in this. So as we're moving forward, once the nonprofit status occurs, we want to be able to leverage this to another level.
Yeah, we got Bishop Jake's attention, and so hopefully down the road, we can speak. Hope you listen, Bishop. And so,
listen.
Yeah. So
how you doing?
Yeah, and so we've got his attention. So hopefully, that's just what we're trying to do. We're trying to just contribute to helping men, grow and get everything they want out of their life. And I will say this: here's our core competencies. It's really a formula for the National Men's Prayer Call. Spiritual growth times personal development, which are two different things.
Right.
A lot of people conflate them, especially Christians. There's two totally separate equals peak performance.
I love it.
That's it. So, and so if you really want to understand how to get more out of your life, make sure that you're using those two exponents. Spiritual growth and personal development. You have to have both of them.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you guys.
I know you're trying to get us off, but this is the question that Benny always asks: is your life working? Is the application of what you're doing right now with the competencies that you're currently engaging in, is your life working? Is the word working for you? And is your life working? And if it's not, you need to be a part of the National Men's Prayer Call, because through the power of prayer and spiritually enhanced personal development, we can leverage your life so that you can engage in peak performance.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
There you go.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. See you next time. Hope you guys love this week's episode on the Nikki Speaks TV Mental Health Series show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, and TikTok. And my web address is linktree/Nikki.speaks. Can't wait to see you next time.